Guys, isn't it great to be here today? What a morning, huh? I'm Greg Brenneman. I've been here for many years at NCS, and it's just great to see so many old friends. And what a great venue that we're in here. It's bright and cheery and sunny. Not that DC was old, cloudy, and dreary, but it is. It does lift your spirits, and it's just great to see so many of you guys. We're going to actually talk about a different kind of story for the next few minutes than what we've heard, and it's a terrific story. And if you want to hear more about this story afterwards, it's a story of a father and son, a chairman and a CEO that have really sold their business all out for Christ. And just provide a great example, I think, for so many of us in our own businesses. We tend to think sometimes about generosity being, well, let me go make, money that I can make, and we know that generosity is the only cure for materialism. And we say, well, then I'll give it away, right? I'll make it, and then I'll give it away. This is a couple of guys that have absolutely, truly integrated completely their business and their faith, and we're going to have them talk about that. If you want to hear more after this, they're going to do a little bit more on this at the World Vision lunch later in the day. And if you want to hear more about integrating business and life, I'll do a breakout session this afternoon as well, so you can get a little bit deeper in that. But I do want to just go and focus on their business. So Bill is chairman. I asked him, Bill, I'd like to tell you what it's like to transition the business to your son. He said, what are you talking about? He hasn't figured it out yet. His office has gotten smaller and smaller. The keys don't always work, but he's a dear friend, by the way. Bill and I have been in the same small group for 12 years, so I can kid him a little bit. But Bill, tell us about RTI, what you guys are up to, what your mission is, and how you've purposed your business.
Well, great. Thanks. Thank you, Greg. I don't know if I can recover. I actually bumped into Ian out in the hall. I'm still crying. I mean, he made me cry just by talking to him. But anyway, my story starts about 42 years ago next month, actually. And it was at that time that my brother and I bought a small family business back and moved to Wichita, Kansas. In that same time period, I got married. We moved, bought a house, and moved to Wichita to start this business. Well, after about 18 months of us working in the business, my brother went on a fishing trip and with some friends, and he did not return. He actually drowned on that trip, and obviously that was a tremendous shock to me. It was one that was devastating to me emotionally, and some people call that a significant emotional event, and that was for me. And he was my best friend, obviously my business partner, and my brother, and he was gone. So at that point in time, it just made me try to understand what was going on. I didn't understand it. So I struggled with that situation for actually a number of months. And then one night in my bedroom, I got down on my knees and I prayed to God. And I prayed to God because not only did I not understand that situation, but I knew I was not in control, and I was totally out of control. And maybe there's some guys, some other type A guys in this room that like to be in control. Anybody know that feeling? Well, that was me. So I had no control on that. So what I did, I got down on my knees and I just prayed to God, and I confessed my sins. I asked God to forgive me. I asked him to take over my life. Well, he gave me an immediate peace about that situation, an immediate peace in my life, and a hunger for his word. And as James said last night, I believe I saw the big Jesus at that time, and I surrendered my life. I had personally, when I was a little kid, about 10 years old, I had received Jesus as my Savior through John 3:16. However, through this progression and through that period of time, I knew that I hadn't surrendered to him. And so at that point in time, my life changed. And so God also brought into my life at that point in time a number of mentors, a couple of mentors. So, a friend of mine, one of the mentors, really one day challenged me in that business to really run that business to serve the Lord. And I didn't really understand what he was saying. I tried to serve the Lord in my own life, and why would you mess with business with God? I mean, that seemed to me to be incongruent. Why would you do that? And so he said, why don't you do a Bible study at work? I said, a Bible study at work? I mean, who would do that? That's crazy. I said, maybe you want to do it, and he said, okay, I'll do it. So he came in and we started a Bible study at work, and surely I thought that this would be embarrassing, but it wasn't. And so within a couple of months, one of our executives at the company came to know the Lord. And I'm thinking, man, maybe there's something to this. And so at that point in time, we really tried to understand how we could serve the Lord with that business. And so along that same line, back then, and this is about 38 years ago by this time, 39 years ago, back then, some of you guys who are in business, the mission statements, developing your mission statement was really important, and is still, of course, important. And so that's what we did. We developed our mission statement. And at that point in time, we decided the first bullet in our mission statement would be to honor God always. And our whole executive team agreed on that. It took us many months to come up with that, but we found out that's what we wanted to do. And so at that point in time, we decided to try to follow God, try to serve God with our business. So, with the mission statement is when you disclose that in your mission statement, you leave that leave yourself open. And it was at some points in time we were harassed a little bit, but not to the point that we thought that we weren't doing the right thing. And it was really at that point in time we thought, okay, what else can we do? And so we continued to do Bible studies. We continued to try to serve the Lord however we could. Well, fast forward, and that was 40-some years ago, 38 to 40 years ago. 20 years ago, we founded another little business, and that's called Refined Technologies. And that business, Cody can explain a little bit more, but that business cleans pressurized vessels in refineries and petrochemical plants. And so at that point in time, as we were developing that business, we have a number of companies together, and we keep the same mission statement for all the companies. And so we started doing the same thing and developing what we could do to serve the Lord with those businesses. Well, fast forward a little bit further, about 12 years ago, Cody joined our business, joined Refined Technologies. And so, of course, it's never been the same since then, but no. Actually, it's been great since then. But at that point in time, I hadn't worked with Cody and didn't know his business acumen. I know he had worked at other places where people told me that he's really good at what he did, but I didn't really know until he started working with us. And so I'm thinking at the same time, does he really understand the mission? Does he really want to do what we want to do in serving the Lord? And praise God, he is probably better at it. He's better at it than I am. And that was a real encouragement to me. God gave me that encouragement, seeing as Cody continued to take more and more responsibility in this company, and he continued to take the mission statement even to a higher level, and the company to a higher level. He's actually... I've admitted to Greg, he's actually more qualified to run the business because it's a more technical business. I'm an accountant, he's an engineer, and it's really more suited to him than to me.
We're recording this, right, James? This is perfect.
So anyway, I'll just let Cody talk about it at this point in time, but go ahead, hang on.
What's
Cody,
the question?
Cody, tell us a little bit about how you guys have driven the company with your employees, with the purpose to really serve the Lord, and a little bit about what's going on in Honduras and what you're doing there.
Yeah, great. So it's kind of weird calling your dad Bill, but at work it's kind of weird to call him Dad. So what Bill had said, honor God always. That's I was just in the Coca-Cola Consolidated breakout. I know they're coming up after this, and we heard on the Andy Stanley podcast, and they're like, hey, they stole our mission statement. So it's a similar thing. I know they're going to talk about it next, but they said it in their breakout, and I'd say it's totally true of us. That's an aspirational mission statement as much as it is a reality, and it's something, actually, it actually is honor God always is the statement. And so we're trying to do that, and I'd say we're trying to do that more and more. So where we're at today is definitely not where we were at 12 years ago. It's been a process, a progress, and we continually try to increase it. One of the challenges as we grow, so we're in the refinery chemical cleaning space. We have 16 offices around the U.S., Canada, now Singapore, and the Netherlands. And so we have but we only have 225 employees, so it's smaller offices, but pretty separated by geography. And how do we tie that mission and culture all together? And so we really have tried to think not necessarily programs, and definitely not something that's just, hey, Bill and Cody's deal. We really wanted to make this a part of our team, and there's reasons for that. And I'd say we wanted to move beyond programs to a culture. And so first thing we did really in two ways. One was financially and just sharing what we've given, and just from a tax purpose basis, whether, we give it personally or through the business, it's kind of a wash. But what we thought is, we believe God owns our business. We believe we're stewards of this business, but we're not the only ones that are working in this business. We have 223 other people that are part of this team that are helping us earn the profits and that we're in turn giving away. Let's involve them in that. And we didn't want to be the people that necessarily handed out made a big deal about our giving. We believed, the reason we never talked about it is don't let your right hand know what the left hand is doing. But we thought, this isn't right that we're not sharing at least some of this. And so we've been involved with World Vision for a long time, and that was one of the things that we had gotten connected to was clean water, and we were doing things around clean water, and we thought this is a pretty great thing to connect to our team. Regardless of belief or faith, most people would say, I believe bringing clean water to somebody who doesn't have clean water is a good thing. And so we started sharing over a couple years, hey, we're giving this money to water, and it started out in we were bringing 10,000 people clean water a year, 15,000 people clean water a year. And then 2 years ago, we decided to make an even larger commitment with them to say, hey, we're going to bring clean water to 250,000 people over the next 3 years. And so the money that went into that directly tied, it's a larger number to be able to make that kind of impact, and we were able to directly tie that to the work that our team was doing. And then, so it started with financial, but then we really wanted to engage the team too. It's not just the money, and so we had programs like child sponsorship where we pick up 75% of the child sponsorship as long as our team writes it. We started taking trips with World Vision, taking employees to Honduras. That's where we're doing the water work. Last year we've taken 25 employees now, and we'll do 3 trips a year to do that. And these are life-changing trips. You talk about stories. The stories that our team is coming back and sharing now with each other have just been significant.
Cody, could you share that story you shared with me yesterday at breakfast?
About Tim?
Yeah.
Sure. So Tim Ghana is a guy, he's a 25-year operations, comes out of refinery operations, sharp guy. In this case, he loves the Lord. That's not true for everybody at Refined Technologies, but he had a brother. He sponsors 5 kids with us. So he has 5 World Vision kids in Honduras. When we take them down, they meet their sponsored children. And so he went down there, and his brother had always told him, hey, Tim, they make this up. These aren't like real kids. They're just like, everybody has the same kid. And so he went down there, and he prayed so he went down there and he met this kids, and he takes the picture and sends it back to his brother and says, I'm meeting my kids. Actually you were there for it. You could probably, you can jump in if I'm getting this wrong, but I wasn't on this trip. But Tim basically, they kind of said, hey, there was a lady with one of his sponsored kids that had a crippled child that wasn't one of the sponsored kids, and the statement was made, we'll be praying for you and your family. And then one of our teams said, hey, Tim's wife actually just had back surgery. She just got out of the hospital this last week, but she wanted him to come on the trip. She's been battling infection. And Tim's son was recently diagnosed with diabetes, his 7-year-old son. And so would you guys keep him in your prayers? And this lady, you can tell him, the lady just stood up and started praying. You describe it a little bit.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. So here's a lady with a crippled 10-year-old that she has to carry everywhere. And she just broke out in prayer, praising Jesus for who he was and praying for healing for Tim's wife and Tim's son. And it was like, everybody was just crying because it was so emotional and it was so powerful.
So he comes back, and then we have an annual event where all of our team and families and spouses get together. And Tim actually shared that testimony with our team. So, the financial impact of giving is significant, but the stories, to the theme of the weekend, the stories that our team comes and shares are what define the culture, to the point where when we have team meetings and, a guy's getting up and talking about, he runs our logistics business, and he's saying, hey, if I can save $500 on a load of freight, I know that's $500 directly that's going to go towards somebody getting clean water in Honduras. That's what we know I think we're being successful, moving from something that is a family thing to maybe a one office thing to across the company we say our why is to create eternal impact, not just business impact.
Guys, you've really changed the culture of your company with Honor God Always that goes back 40 years, but just keeps getting better and better. And I have a chance to talk to Bill a lot, and he probably wouldn't say this to you, Cody, but I know he's just so very proud of where you've taken the company in terms of just pulsating that focus on faith and on honoring God clear through the company. So congratulations to both of you for what you've done. We're very grateful, and thanks for your time today.
Thanks.
Thank you.